Welcome, Annie here. Today I'm guest designing for 2be Artzy. I'll show you how I created this fun pull-up card. Let's go over the products I used to create this card. From 2be Artzy, the squirrel stamp. I used the squirrel image, the acorn, and the Awww sentiment. I also pulled in the coordinating dies for the squirrel and the acorn. I'm going to pull up my card base here for a second to show you these images. I went ahead and stamped and colored them before I started today. I also cut away the small acorn for our squirrel and gave him a large one. I die cut a variety of acorns here and I adhered them to a piece of brown cardstock. I also went ahead and die cut the panels we need for our pull-up mechanism. So the blue pattern paper will be our sky. The leaf paper will be our ground. I have our sentiment already stamped on a fishtail banner. This is the pull-up mechanism that we'll need to make our squirrel go up and down. This little piece of paper here is going to just hide the seam between our sky and ground. This is the pull-up tab to show you which way to pull. And this little tab that I have here in brown, that will hold our lever from swaying from side to side. We will need some foam adhesive to make sure that there's plenty of space for our mechanism to work. And I'm going to bring in some sequins for decorating our card. So let's start cleaning up some of the stuff here so we can get started with our card. Oh, I am creating an A2 size card, so here's my card base. Alright, so let's get started. First we're going to adhere our sky pattern paper and our ground pattern paper. I'm putting a little bit of art glitter glue on the back of the pattern paper and adhering it, leaving a nice border all around. I also stayed clear from our little punched area there for our pull-up mechanism. I'm adjusting this here to make sure it's even, and now I'm going to adhere the floral paper or the leaf paper to the bottom of our card. I'm going to add this little red tone-on-tone paper. Yep, I put glue all over myself. And I'm going to hide the seam of the two papers here. It also, since the pattern paper on the bottom is quite light, it also is at that grounding. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to hide our squirrel behind all these acorns. I'm going to figure out more or less where I want it, and then I'm going to put some adhesive just on the bottom of our acorn cluster. I'm going to adjust it till I know there's enough space for our squirrel to pop up. Put a little bit extra adhesive on the sides. Now I'm going to, I'm sorry first of all that I'm off screen a bit here, but all I'm doing is trying to figure out how far down I want my slider opening to go. But that wasn't working, so I'm going to line it up with the top with my grid mat and try to line it up with the center line here. Once I get it there, I'm going to get some washi tape and hold it in place, if I can get it to stop moving. Then I'll run it through my die cut machine. Now that I have the slot open for our mechanism, I'm going to go ahead and start folding over the little arms. There's some score lines here, and I'm just following the score lines. Grab my bone folder to burnish them really well. So you're going to fold in at first, and then you'll fold back on the second time. And then when you put them together, like their little hands meeting in the center, then again, burnish them one more time, and you should have the mechanism to look like this. Now put the little arms together and slide them through the back of the panel to the front, through the slot. Your squirrel will be attached here, and he'll just go up and down. So now let's add some adhesive to the little arm area. I'm just using some Imagine Crafts Terra tape here. Just putting a little bit on each of the little arms. I'll remove the adhesive backing and attach our little squirrel into place. I'm just going to press him on there, make sure he's straight. And as you can see, he'll go up and down. I'm not too worried about the bottom because it won't show. If it were to show, I would just trim off the excess. Okay, So I'm making sure it's all the way down. And now I want to place my acorn cluster towards the bottom. I pushed my squirrel all the way to the bottom and placed it. I'm going to check it to make sure he's hiding enough. And I realize he's a little too high, so I'll adjust it. Alright, so now this is the little piece that will keep our slider arm or a pull arm from swaying back and forth. You're going to put adhesive on the back of this little tab. You're going to first fold on all your score lines, place it just below your notch opening, and press it into place. Now do not put adhesive on the arm. What you want to put adhesive is on that little tab right there. I'm going to put some more Terra tape, and here I didn't burnish it, so I took the entire tape off. I'll fix it here in a second. There you go. There, now I have my Terra tape on there, and I'm going to press it into place. I'm going to check to make sure there's nothing obstructing our mechanism. Now that our mechanism is on, we have to put adhesive on, foam adhesive, on each side, so that we have enough room for our mechanism to work. So I put a strip of foam adhesive on each side of the mechanism, and then I'll put some towards the bottom to make our card be stable. I'm going to adjust my adhesive here for a moment. I kind of overlaid it a bit, and I'm just going to put a small bit on either side of that mechanism. Okay, so now I'm going to remove all the backing off this foam adhesive, and we'll place this on our card panel, on our card base. We'll place this card panel on our card base. I'm going to try my best to line it up here, get it on here, make any adjustments. Alright, now that our panel is on our card base, we can check to make sure our arm is still working. And it is. So once we know that it is, we push the squirrel all the way down, and then we cut off the extra. Now we fold over the little arrow tab, and we're going to adhere that to the pull arm. And I get a little glue happy here. Actually, my glue was clogged. When I unclogged it, all of a sudden it started dripping a lot. So I pressed that into place, doing my best to align it. And now you'll have the mechanism telling you which way to pull. Here's our sentiment. Like I said, I had stamped it onto a fishtail banner. I'm going to cut off the extra. So I'm going to go ahead and mark where I want to cut it. At first I was going to align it with the yellow cardstock, but as you'll see towards the end, I end up aligning it all the way against the brown cardstock panel. I also cut another fishtail banner from the same brown cardstock that I used for the card panel there and the pull arm. I'm going to adhere our sentiment, layering it, so we just have a little bit of that brown banner peeking through. Cut away any of the extra, and now I want to make sure this lays completely flat. So I adhere it onto my card base, making sure all the layers are nice and adhered flat, because I don't want it to obstruct our squirrel as he comes up and down. Realize that little part there was sticking up. And now I check it to make sure our squirrel can come unobstructed in and out of his little pile of acorns. And here our card is complete if you want at this point. But I wanted to adhere some decorative pieces to it. So I'm going to bring in some Doodle Paper Playground sparkle blends. I'm using the Sunflower and Autumn Harvest sparkle blends here to put a little bit of embellishment onto our card. From the Autumn Harvest, I pulled out these little clay leaves, and from the Sunflower, I pulled out the yellow, orange, and brown sequins. So I'm going to add a little bit of adhesive dots onto our card front, and I'm going to adhere our little leaves and sequins to our card. So I put one of the leaves up to the left top corner along with a yellow sequence. I'll add an orange one, a yellow one, and a brown one towards the right bottom corner. And then the other leaf I'm going to place near our sentiment. It has a little open spot there and it needed a little something. And yes, I spilled the sequence. Luckily it was a small amount. So now our card is complete. As you can see, there's our little sequence with our leaves, and here's the cute little squirrel popping out from his little pile of acorns. So, to go over the products I used again, I used the 2be Artzy's squirrel stamp. I used the boy squirrel, the acorn, and the Awww sentiment to create our cluster of acorns. And I used the coordinating dies of the squirrel and the acorn, along with some embellishments to create this fun card. I'll have everything as always listed in the description box below. If you like this, please feel free to give me a big like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for being here today. I hope you found some inspiration.